Chapter 2. Leave the monkey, take the cannoli. A young novice monk asked his master, "May I send you email?" "Yes," replied the master, "but no attachments, please." Have you ever been locked into something, playing music, sketching a flower, chopping shallots, or something as mundane and boring as sorting laundry, when the rest of the world simply vanished? Time gets slippery, background noise fades, your brain quiets down, and for a few golden minutes you are entirely here. Congratulations! You were meditating, and you didn't even have to light a single stick of incense. Sandalwood. Many people envision that meditation requires sitting cross legged in some softly lit, serene cave, chanting passages difficult to pronounce. But the truth is, meditation shows up in all kinds of disguises: painting a landscape, throwing a baseball, writing code, stirring risotto, or brushing your teeth. If you're completely present, even for a fleeting breath of time, you've entered a meditative state. No robes or mantras required. Back in the late 1970s, when I was a teenager, guitar in hand and a head full of Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin, and Beatles riffs, I started to notice something strange. There were moments, mid practice, when I'd lose track of time. The music would pour out effortlessly, as if my fingers had taken over and my thoughts had gone away on vacation. It wasn't just playing, it was something deeper. The kind of focus that bypasses thinking altogether and goes straight to knowing. And when it ended, I'd snap back into normalcy and think, what the hell was that? I didn't know it then, but I'd stumbled into a meditative state. No guru with a beard flowing down to his knees, no gongs and triangles, just a guitar and clarity. That sensation, that calm immersion in the now, became a kind of compass. I started chasing it, that elusive zone where mind, body, and song blur into something bigger, something unified. That's when I first believed in what I called the flow, a current that pulls you into perfect alignment, when the noise drops out and the truth, whatever it is, starts to sing. Pete Townsend of The Who has a great comment in the movie The Kids Are All Right. When I'm on the stage, I'm not in control of myself at all. Pete Townsend may not be the first person who comes to mind when you think of meditation. Windmilling his arm across his guitar, jumping midair in tight white pants, smashing amps while the rest of the Who detonated behind him. It's not exactly the image conjured by the words like stillness or serenity or mindfulness. And yet, in those moments, Mr. Townsend was completely present, fully immersed. The rest of existence had melted away. That inconveniently for our incense and singing bowl stereotypes is a meditative state. It's hard to reconcile the chaos of a Who concert with the soft focus idea we often have of meditation. We picture crossed legs, hands in a mudra pose, a tranquil pond, the sound of subtle bamboo chimes. What we don't imagine is someone destroying a Rickenbacker in front of a screaming crowd. But the essence is the same: total attention, total absorption. No past, no future, simply now. And if that doesn't shatter your peace and love bubble imagination, consider this. Modern militaries around the world have embraced meditation, not for bliss or chasing enlightenment, but for clarity. For soldiers, the stakes are literal life and death. Mindfulness training is being used to sharpen focus, regulate emotion, and soften the long horrors of PTSD. It's not about being calm, it's about being awake. For me, those rare, shimmering moments of mental and emotional clarity were elusive at best. Most of the time, my flow buddy was a flake, a no show, like a stoned roadie who forgot the gig. But when it did arrive, oh, it was everything. Floating bliss, that high of effortless harmony, where time collapses while awareness sharpens into something weightless. I didn't know how to summon it back then. No rituals, no roadmap. just the blind hope that it might show up if I practiced long enough or tuned just right. It was as if some minor deity who responded only to specific riffs mixed with moonlight would show up when he or she wanted to. The feeling itself? Euphoric. As if the universe had decided to grant you a tiny taste of what it's like to operate at full human potential without sending a bill. It wasn't just technical ease or confidence. It was the sense that, for one miraculous moment, you were exactly where you were supposed to be, in sync, awake, humble, and alive. Honestly, it felt so good I started wondering why I wasn't living in that space all the time. Why couldn't life always be like that? Enlightenment, but with a great backbeat. And when my flow did show up, everything felt so absurdly easy that I couldn't believe I'd ever struggled with the instrument I'd been playing since the first grade. As if all the years of practice were some elaborate setup for a cosmic joke. Oh, you mean it's supposed to feel like this? At that point in my life, I knew exactly two things about meditation. One, it involved sitting very still, and two, it was practiced exclusively by unwashed Eastern mystics with silver beards, draped in bedsheets, perched on craggy Himalayan outcrops, or in an incense choked cave surrounded by golden statues and silence. Maybe at Shangri La, assuming you could find the place without a Sherpa, yak, and a vision quest. Around that same time, my mother had some friends who were straight out of central casting for the 1970s, Patchouli Parade. Their family VW Good Times van looked like something the Partridge family might have rejected for being too psychedelic. School bus yellow, neon orange, and purple cartoon flowers, peace signs, as if they were competing with the merry pranksters for who would get pulled over by the cops first. The mother wore actual flowers in her hair, and not ironically. On occasion, they dropped their son Keith off at our place for a weekend sleepover while they disappeared to a commune retreat, which my mom explained away with a shrug, like it was a totally normal thing that adults did drive deep into the woods to chant and chase wisdom. Keith, for his part, was smug about the whole situation. He'd been given a mantra by his parents' guru, which he told us about in the same tone one might use to announce their acceptance to Oxford. He told me he used it for his meditation practice, then promptly shut himself in my bedroom for half an hour, demanding total silence like a pimply bell bottomed Dalai Lama. I, meanwhile, lurked outside the door, baffled and increasingly annoyed. All I wanted to do was ride bikes or skateboards, surf, or make loud noises with guitars. But no, Keith was meditating. Or so he claimed. For all I knew, he was in there talking to God or doing something unspeakable to my stuffed teddy bear. I didn't know what a mantra was, but I was pretty sure it didn't require that much alone time and a locked door. I had a vivid imagination. My friends and I gossiped and imagined stories about communes. I came to the lurid, though incorrect conclusion that Keith's parents and the meditation they went off to do was all about naked, backlit, sun drenched bodies running freely through dappled glades and glens in slow motion and the wild sex that everyone except me must be having in the meadows, the trees, the creekside tall grass as mayflies danced in the sunbeams. My immature fantasies ran wild in a youthful body full of raging hormones. I didn't consider that there might be more to a spiritual lifestyle that many of these communities were seeking through Buddhist or Hindu inspired exercises, and even back then, meditation. Yes, there were communes where the above happened, just not the one that Keith's parents went to. It was, I found out when I was invited to go, a transcendental meditation, known as TM Center. Talk about a major disappointment and shattered imagination. I was young and dumb, living the California life, chasing that sunshine daydream of sandy beaches with glistening surf and the screech of the gulls. Beautiful girls with their long blonde hair shining in the sun. Cool cars with rock and roll slowly rolling by. All night parties and the magical world of music, music, music. I didn't take much seriously, and to that end, the whole hippie lifestyle meditation thing seemed a little too much like the commune cult in my mind. The Beatles with George Harrison leading the visible charge. Thought it important enough to go to India, spend time with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of the TM movement, showcase the power of meditation and that spiritual growth was a healthy and noble pursuit. This was a global, in your face prescription, an open invitation for self love, mental health, and peaceful coexistence. I was too cool for that school, or trying to be. So I scoffed and ignored what was inside me all along, something that I was trying to attain but didn't know it. That was a mistake. The hippies, like my mom's friends, got it right. People from every walk of life, in every nook and cranny upon the world, meditate, some with great intention, others by accident. You might be surprised to learn you've meditated without even realizing it, perhaps while washing dishes or mowing the lawn, which isn't exactly the Himalayan peak most people associate with spiritual breakthrough. That's just a lack of understanding, or, as one of my teachers put it, a knowledge gap you can fill without incense. He explained that with enough mental training, meditation starts to slip quietly into everyday life, not because you were lighting candles or chanting ancient passages, but because your mind has learned, through practice, how to drop into a calm, singular focus. You brush your teeth and bam, you're present. You take a shower and suddenly it's the most grounded you've felt all day. You eat a slice of toast and become one with orange marmalade. And that's not a hard state of awareness to achieve. It turns out this kind of clarity, that pure, undistracted focus, is far more powerful than our culture's beloved multitasking myth. Ever notice your computer slowing down when you have 47 tabs open? Four apps running as Spotify wrestles for bandwidth with a Zoom call? That's your brain on Tuesday. We've all got too many browser tabs open in our heads. And when those tabs start blinking and freezing, the monkey mind kicks in. In Buddhism, monkey mind is what happens when our thoughts swing wildly from one branch of distraction to the next, like a caffeinated chimp at a jungle rave. It's that inner chatterbox tossing banana peels across your mental floor, gleefully wrecking your peace. The result? A frantic, overstimulated mess of a mind that can't find the car keys or remember why it walked into the kitchen to open the refrigerator. Left unchecked, monkey mind doesn't just make you forget birthdays. It clutters your thinking, slows your cognitive gears to sludge, and fuels the spiral into anxiety. Or worse, the apathetic fog of, what's the point? Where even basic tasks feel Herculean. That's the edge of depression, and for some, that's when the prescription pads come out, and a parade of mother's little helpers march in with promises of balance and better living through chemistry. But here's the thing, that scattered mental mess, that's completely normal. Welcome to the club. You're not broken or alone, you're human. The good news is that your monkey mind isn't a life sentence. With consistent meditation practice, even the clumsy, inconsistent kind we all start with, you can train your brain to stop swinging from vine to vine and just sit still for a second. That alone is miraculous. Meditation isn't about perfection or performance, it's about practice. And about getting that damn monkey to stop pelting your brain with mangoes every time you try to focus. So, what is meditation? Big question, simple answer. Or is it? Meditation at its core is the art of training the mind to focus, to rest gently in awareness rather than be dragged around by every darting squirrel thought or emotional twitch. It can be done by concentrating on the breath, silently repeating a mantra, listening intently to a sound, or giving your relaxed gaze something completely unexciting to linger on, like a doorknob or that grain of rice you've been meaning to pick up off the carpet for 2 weeks. The goal isn't transcendence or enlightenment, though those make nice marketing bullet points. It's about being present, clear, and quietly awake in your own busy mind. What meditation is not, besides upright napping or getting baked, is the practice of emptying your mind into some blank, trance like void where no thoughts exist. That's not meditation. That's fiction. The human brain doesn't work that way. Trying to force it into silence only amplifies the noise, like yelling at a toddler to be quiet while handing them drumsticks and some old pots and pans. One of the great meditation masters of our age, Yonggi Mingyur Rinpoche, a monk who runs the Tergar Osel Ling Monastery just outside Kathmandu, has a great sense of humor about this. When teaching group meditation, he uses a simple exercise to make that very point. Okay, relax. Take some deep breaths, slowly in, out, and gently close your eyes. We are going to start our meditation by not thinking about pizza. Don't think about pizza. Here we go. A few minutes pass as the hall slips towards silence. Everyone is calm with eyes closed, sitting erect, hands in lap in earnest supplication to the moment. At that point, when everyone is showing off their perfectly poised meditation pose, Mingyur Rinpoche laughs, breaking the spell, and asks the participants, "How many of you thought about pizza? Raise your hand." And of course, every hand goes up. That's what your brain does, and to deny it of its job is impossible. Meditation is easy, they say, and maybe it is, until our brains get involved. I know, oxymoron. Because if there's one thing we do well, it's overcomplicating the hell out of everything that might otherwise be transparent. We obsess over the setup. Am I sitting the right way? Are my hands in the official mudra pose? Is my spine aligned with a celestial axis? Why are my shoulders up by my ears? Am I breathing too loud? Not loud enough. Should I pant rapidly like a hyena at a kill? Maybe that's the secret. And just like that, the calm, serene act of sitting still becomes a stress inducing performance piece. What meditation can do is train you to step back and observe your thoughts and emotions without getting yanked up about by them. You let them float by without judgment or reaction. There's an age old classic Buddhist analogy of a bright blue sky with puffy little clouds drifting by. Each cloud represents a thought. Meditation is lying back quietly on a cool, grassy rise and watching those clouds pass without trying to lasso one or panic when another looks like a thunderhead. That's the whole gig. Is that easy? Yes. And no. As Jeremiah Tower, the famously demanding chef from Chez Panisse and Stars once said, nothing is as complex as simplicity. He wasn't talking about a perfectly poached egg. There are countless meditation methods out there, some ancient, some modern, some suspiciously identical except for branding, theme music, and font choice. The important thing isn't the method, it's the mindset. And this is where a little healthy skepticism goes a long, long way. Somewhere, always, in the patchouli scented mainstream of feel good spirituality, you'll find that guy, TM. The grinning guru who seems to vibe with your current existential crisis. And wouldn't you know it? He's holding the key to the kingdom of calm. My method, he says with a beatific smile and a man bun tight enough to warp judgment, is the one true way. Spoiler number one, it's not. It's not even close. Anyone who tells you all other paths are wrong is either deeply confused, dangerously arrogant, or selling enlightenment at a discount. But only if you click now. Usually, all three. That isn't a teacher. It's a sales funnel wearing mala beads. He'll sell you an identical string for $49.99. Modern snake oil doesn't come in little brown bottles anymore. It comes in sleek social media videos, reels with acoustic guitar, sitar, and drone footage, and hardcover books with subtitles like Unlock Infinite Calm in 5 minutes a day or Your Ego Back. Sometimes there's even a companion app, or worse, a retreat in Pasadena. And let's not forget those crystal peddling influencers who claim your third eye is blocked because your quartz isn't vibing with Venus. Or the Tony Robbins type alpha shamans shouting you into transcendence as if personal growth were a contact sport. Spoiler number two, you can't scream someone into serenity. The truth? Meditation has as many flavors as Birdie Bot's every flavor beans. Every faith tradition that practices meditation, Buddhists, Hindus, Sufis, Jains, and even a few surprisingly limber atheists, has their own take. So, who's right? That's for you to figure out. And that's where many people get stuck. You try one method, you light a candle while trying not to choke on the fistful of sage you lit afire as you sit cross legged, chanting something sounding vaguely Sanskrit, and instead of inner peace, you get a cramp and a brooding sense of disillusionment. I must be doing it wrong, you think. Maybe you are. Or maybe that method simply isn't right for you. I've been there. I tried a few techniques. I got deeply frustrated. I almost gave up. Then I did something radical. I cheated. I built my own system, borrowing what worked from different traditions and ignoring what didn't. A little Zen, a little Vipassana, a dash of Tibetan focus training, some Dhammakaya, and a whole lot of common sense, all stirred into a personalized soup of sanity. It works. For me, your mileage may vary. Because here's the thing, no one method is perfect for everyone. No teacher has all the answers. And any path that doesn't eventually lead you back to looking in your mirror and doing the actual work is a waste of time. Which brings us, of course, to the unholy trinity: dogma, religiosity, and the institutional juggernaut known as the church. Well, in the other corner is the wily, untamed creature called spirituality. Unlike stone tablets and top down mandates of organized religion where rites, rituals, and eternal reward or punishment are doled out by a sole manager in the sky, the world of spirituality and meditation offers no such clean, authoritative blueprint. For many, that's disorienting, even scary. No instruction manual, no guaranteed results, no hotline to divine customer service. Just you, alone, with your mind. Good luck! In cultural traditions where meditation is baked into daily life, yes, you'll often see colorful ceremonies with robes, chanting, incense, and enough gongs to start a prog rock band. But when it comes to the actual practice of working with your own mind, the fluff falls away. There are no universal 12-step plans to inner peace. And that's the rub. Meditation requires you to do something far scarier than obeying. It requires you to look inward, honestly, without flinching. That's why so many people bounce off of it. That hard work demands personal responsibility, the kind that can't be outsourced to a higher power or filed away after Sunday service. And that's where religion sometimes wins. With its structured routines and divine delegation, it's easier to say a few prescribed words, ask forgiveness for flattening a neighbor's constantly yapping puppy, and trust that someone upstairs is keeping score. But meditation isn't about scorekeeping. It's about letting go of the idea that anyone else is holding the clipboard in the first place. It's said that we all carry Buddha nature within us. Some just have to dig through more emotional drywall to get there. With meditation, the innate well of compassion toward others and ourselves slowly becomes accessible. It's not flashy, it's not easy, but it's real. And best of all, it doesn't require tithing or a confessional booth. Just you, your breath, and the uncomfortable, liberating truth that looking inward might be the most rebellious healing thing you'll ever do. That doesn't mean meditation is some glittering cure all, a spiritual band aid that never stings when ripped off. For some, especially those grappling with mental health challenges, it can actually be destabilizing, even dangerous. This isn't some recent concern cooked up by skeptics either. In India, over 1500 years ago, Buddhist monks compiled the Dhammatraya meditation scripture, documenting not only the benefits of meditation, but also some of its psychological side effects. They described experiences we now associate with depression, anxiety, disassociation, even psychotic breaks, the mind folding in on itself instead of opening up. These days, meditation is fully mainstream, no longer the domain of saffron robes and incense scented rooms with guys named Garrett leading chanting and getting it wrong. It's a certified wellness buzzword, a mental health darling, and the golden child of the self improvement culture. Thanks to the surge, we now have mindfulness, the Western rebrand that makes ancient wisdom sound like something you download on your smartwatch. Most beginners aim for 15 or 20 minutes of daily practice, and the more committed may stretch that to an hour, at which point, for the uninitiated, starts to feel less like a soothing ritual and more like spiritual homework. But here's the thing: meditation doesn't have to be a grand production. Once you've built up the habit, it can be done in quick bursts, what I call micro meditations. With enough practice, you can drop into that calm, focused state in under a minute, like rebooting your brain without logging out of life. A quick mind reset while brushing your teeth, standing in the shower, or staring blankly into your coffee can go a long way toward neutralizing the little irritants that would otherwise burrow under your skin and stay there all day. In recent decades, the benefits, and yes, the occasional risks of meditation have been absorbed into modern scientific research. What's been learned is powerful. Your mind is capable of incredible self transformation. And that idea, that inner peace, resilience, clarity, even healing, it all might come from within. Well, that doesn't sell many pills or therapy sessions. After all, if you realize you can cultivate compassion, self worth, and mental strength from the inside out, Big Pharma and half the mental health industry are out of business. That's rough for them. But for you, cheaper and way more empowering. Depending on where you look and who you ask, the documented physical health benefits of regular meditation range from the pleasantly surprising to the downright impressive. Lower depression, reduced anxiety, stress relief, burnout mitigation, and even some documented cases of chronic pain reduction. But wait, there's more! The psychological benefits are where it gets really interesting. Meditation has been shown to boost empathy, improve interoceptive awareness. That's science speak for being able to feel what's happening inside your body without spiraling into WebMD's self diagnosis paranoia, and even fosters self transcendence, a term used for stepping outside the cramped quarters of our own ego long enough to see the big picture without judgment or emotional turbulence. Some of the greatest minds of our age, people with actual, hard earned degrees, like actual bona fide qualifications, have been poking at this whole meditation thing for a while now. Take Dr. Richard Davidson, for example. Great name, by the way. He's a professor of psychiatry and psychology at the University of Wisconsin Madison, the founder of the Center for Healthy Minds, head honcho at the Healthy Minds Innovations Project, and just to keep things light, a top tier neuroscientist. In case he gets bored. He sounds like someone who could host a TED Talk, do the dishes, and pilot a spaceship through a meteor field at the same time. Davidson and his team spent decades wiring up subjects, including seasoned meditators, like they were setting up a NASA launch, slapping neurosensors onto the shaved heads of monks, real ones. No, really. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Mingyur Rinpoche were just two of many seasoned meditators who were wired up. to watch what happens when you sit still and breathe with purpose. The results were wild. Whole regions of the brain, usually lounging around like interns after a smoke break, started lighting up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, the parts of the brain that usually run your anxiety parade calmed down to a gentle hum. Meditation, it turns out, isn't just woo, it's neuroscience with a side of magical reality. And if that isn't enough to impress your inner skeptic, on February 4th, 2025, research at, researchers at the Ichan School of Medicine at Mount Sinai dropped a little gem in PNAS. That's the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, not an unfortunate acronym for something else. Their super catchy paper titled Intracranial Substrates of Meditation Induced Neuromodulation in the Amygdala and Hippocampus. A title that screams, I want to read this all night long. Reported on intracranial EEGs planted inside people's heads. No monks were harmed, as far as I know. They found easily measurable changes in the brain's emotional and memory centers when people meditated. Not imagined changes, real, electrical, measurable changes. Think about that for a moment. And those are just two examples from thousands of published, peer reviewed, scientifically scrutinized papers. Papers that identified, tested, and documented people who didn't just feel calmer after downloading the meditation app. They showed remarkable brain activity in regions normally reserved for other things. And that was witnessed by folks who know their amygdala from their abdomen, and they're proving that meditation isn't just legitimate, it's transformative. But there is a dark side to all of this feel good new age wisdom too. In a 2021 in 2021, a study published in Psychotherapy Research blew a hole through the glossy aura of the modern meditation movement. In a nationally representative sample, more than 10% of people reported what researchers diplomatically called meditation related adverse effects. Translation: anxiety, traumatic flashbacks, and emotional overwhelm. Some symptoms lasting for weeks. So much for inner peace. Then came March of 2024, when investigative journalist Madison Marriage dropped a podcast series like a depth charge into the waters of the mindfulness world. Her expose on Goenka style Vipassana retreats, 10 days of total silence coupled to 10 hours of seated meditation each day, detailed real mental breakdowns, psychological trauma, and even suicides experienced by some attendees. While countless practitioners have emerged from these retreats radiant and deeply transformed, others have spiraled into serious distress. And from my personal experience meditating for over 40 plus years, I'll say it, 10 hours a day of meditation of any kind is far too much time to be spelunking the caves of your own mind. Sure, there are days when a meditation session feels like a warm bath for the soul. You want to linger, to explore, to see what that quiet spaciousness might teach you. But then there are sessions that feel like taking a wrong turn and ending up in an 8K meter kill zone of your psyche, where the lights are out and something's dripping in the corner. Forcing yourself to stay there out of some spiritual machismo isn't brave. It's harmful. I would even say stupid. I've had those moments too. Sessions that turned dark and jagged like a Carol Reed noir piece, where observing the mind like a passive witness wasn't calming, it was corrosive. And I've ended those sessions early, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Walking away isn't failure, it's self knowledge. Knowing when to close the door on a session that isn't serving you is its own kind of practice, a different form of clarity. If you want to torture yourself, sit in the lotus position for an hour and see how long you last before you move. Yes, for the vast majority, meditation is a beneficial, life enhancing tool. But like anything powerful, it demands respect and moderation. It's not about cranking up the intensity until you break through. Sometimes it's about knowing when to pause, when to give your mind a break before it turns on you with a blackjack. I've developed a rule of thumb for my meditation sessions. Keep it to about a half hour unless the session is flowing and you're tossing away guilt and shame like peanut shells at a ball game. If you're cruising your awareness train, then by all means, stay on board. But 30 minutes is plenty. Personally, I prefer mid morning sessions. Not too groggy, not too caffeinated. Just right. That sweet spot when my brain's alert enough to notice its own bullshit, but still soft enough to be quieted. That's when I take a focused mental cool down lap. Pay attention the next time you finish washing dishes, writing an email, reorganizing your spice rack in order of cuisine relevance, and realize you have no idea how long you were at it. How do you feel? Peaceful? Productive? Or are you suddenly panicked that you've time traveled again? That moment when you shift from full immersion back into regular programming, that's gold. That's the point where you get to decide, do I hold on to this calm clarity for a moment longer? Or do I slam headfirst into my to do list like a coked up male howler monkey let loose in a filling cabinet permeated with female howler estrogen? Make no mistake, your monkey's always ready. He's hanging out just off stage, fingers twitching, eyes darting for an opportunity, and ready to yank on your mental strangler vines the second you lose focus. But if you catch that transition, if you actually see it happen, you've already got a leg up. You can either take a breath and return to calm, or go joyriding through your cortex with your hyperactive inner primate. It's your call, but I recommend the former. I'll never forget the first time I hit what I can only describe as meditative gold. I was sitting on the bank of a lazy river, one of my favorite places to simply be. The air was warm, sweet, and clean. Bees and bugs were busy making their rounds, and everything was just alive in that soft, summertime is easy way. As I settled into meditation, something shifted. Suddenly, I had control, a gentle steering of thought. My mind responded to the lightest touch, like a Formula One car going balls out with Lewis Hamilton at the wheel. I could focus, I could release, I could parry and thrust. Thoughts floated by, and I could identify and observe, then swipe them into the mental recycle bin, one by one, without a second thought. And then I laughed. I really laughed. A genuine from my core laugh, because it felt so good, and because I was fully aware I had done it. It was that mythical state of flow and clarity everyone talks about. I was in it, living it in real time. And with that laugh, the whole thing scattered like dandelion seeds to the wind. The moment broke. The birds kept singing, the bees kept buzzing, the river kept flowing, and I was left blinking at the sunlight, feeling euphoric, yet a little sad that I couldn't slip right back in. I was high on presents for the rest of the day. Of course, I thought, I got this. I didn't got this at all. So that's the deal. Meditation isn't about candles or caves or impressing your TikTok followers with your serene cushion pose. It's about paying attention to your breath, a sound, a mantra, your unhinged mental zoo. Some days you get a moment of peace, a glimpse of that elusive flow. Other days it's just you and your monkey, chucking feces and old wooden blocks at your concentration. Either way, it's progress. It's you trying. That's why it's called practice.